Welcome everyone to the week 6 edition of the Legacy League CT Winter 23-24 post-game show. I am Greg Horne, not Joey Zacco, and I am here with Brendan. As always, a pleasure. Two fellow Panther fans. And we
Yep,
got
that's
a we got
right.
a new coach, so we're feeling kind of good.
Feeling pretty good. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. No high hopes. But we had two games that, couldn't happen this week. I do have to say, Yaga, two wins in a row for Yaga. Chris
Yeah.
Wazinski, 4 points in those two wins, shooting 100% from the field. Not
Way
gonna
to
say
go, Chris,
anything,
man. That's
but
awesome.
Chris is kind of carrying them these past 2 weeks. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. All right, but
he
we'll,
is.
we'll
He
get
really
we'll
is.
we'll get past those and we'll go to Basketballers Redeem Team, which was the first game, and Redeem ended up pulling away by a pretty big margin,
Yeah.
122-78. In the third quarter, they outscored them 37-16, and Miles Raymond
Mhm.
went absolutely crazy. So, Brendan, what'd
He
you
did.
see on court one?
Yeah, so that Redeem team showed me they made me kind of eat my words from this past week because I moved them down in my personal rankings because
Mm-hmm.
of, they lost one of their best players. But they kind of made me eat that and they put up 122 points. Uh the game was pretty close up until the third quarter when they pulled away like that. Yeah, Miles Raymond. Oh my goodness, 54 points and then 12 made threes. That's an unbelievable performance by him. And even Reggie Stewart with 30
Mm-hmm.
points. I mean, off the bench, that was crazy. The other thing is Eric Singleton, who I think might be the best player on that team, didn't even need him to do that. He only scored 11 points you know
Mm-hmm.
so even like without him contributing what he usually does, they still blew out the basketballers. And I think with that they proved to me, even without Cody, that they can still be a contender and win playoff games.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I think Redeem Team showed a lot last night, especially because, it's kind of like you said, they've been through a lot. They've had injuries. I know they had a guy week one, Will Hudson. Shout out Will, we love him. He got a job and he
Yeah,
actually started working Thursday night, so he can't come anymore. And that was a big body for them. So they really turned this around. And if you notice on Redeem Team, they got someone new called Quinton Miles. He's number 11. He hasn't shown up yet, but he goes by the name Pooch. And Pooch is one of the better players we've seen in this league. He is walking content. He's probably one of the best in-game dunkers we've ever had in this league. And he used to play on this team called the Monstars. And if he ends up coming for a Redeem Team, that's
that
really
yeah,
gonna they'll
be
separate into a Yaga tier.
it would be great to see him show up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of the things I didn't mention in my little rant there, for basketballers, Rico Santiago had
Yeah.
43.
Mm.
So that and 10 rebounds. I mean, his teammates need to help him a little bit, but he had more than half their team's points. He had 43 out of their
Yeah.
70, 78, 78, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 78. Yeah. No, yeah, shout out Rico. I just give a big shout out to Rico. He plays every week. He plays
Yep.
hard. He
Yep.
he's a good basketball player. He was throwing down dunks. I actually got a few of them in the top plays for him
Yeah.
this week. I tried
100%.
to, but I mean he was great. And honestly, the basketballers don't hang your heads. You guys didn't have
No,
Jaden, you didn't have Alex, you didn't have Chad. So just keep fighting. And we'll that'll kind of get us to the next game. Speaking of keep fighting, that is get money and would have been. Get Money ended up winning 65-52, but it was not as close. I mean, not as kind of lopsided as you would think, because this was a
yeah.
very close game for most of the game. And these two teams, I think, are very even. I mean, Jason Velez went absolutely crazy with 26 points. He shot 18 threes and made 8 of them. So 44% is not a bad clip to go.
I don't
And
know.
I think it's a common theme for these two games. I'm going to give Tysheem McCree his flowers. He went off. He's a star, one of the best players we have in this league. But I'm going to say the same thing for both these teams. I think for Get Money and for would have been, it's going to come down to the depth. It's going to cut. You know what you're going to get from the top players on these teams, but what can the guys that give you 3 to 6 a night do? Can one of them pop off for maybe 10 or 15, and that can really set them apart? But Brandon, I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Get Money or would have been? Which one do you think's trending in more of the right direction? I know Get Money won, but
Yeah. I think they both are because I mean, I know would have been hasn't been winning, but they've been playing it, to me anyway, they've been playing so well. So even though they're not winning, I still think they're trending in the right direction. to me. And obviously, Get Money, they've been winning too. So, you know, they're
Mhm.
still going in the right direction. And they're still my favorite,
Yeah.
other than Yaga, of course,
Yeah.
to be a contender. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd go Get Money too, but these teams they got so many players and so many of them are kind of figuring out how to play in this league, and I think it's
yeah.
one of those things where just would have been and Get Money kind of, and same for basketballers, just keep figuring out molding your game and you guys will just hit another gear, and I think some of these teams might have that next gear. But we'll get into the second part of the show. We're going to do an all legacy league season mid-season first team. It's going to be our four players that we think have really stood out, kind of stood out more than others, have really taken over the game at times, and just been four of the best players in this league. So, Brendan, I'm going to go to you first. Who do you got for your four?
All right. I'm worried we might have a very similar four, but that's okay. Um, honorable mentions for me are Michael and Kyle Davis for Yaga. I mean, they're just freak athletes out there for that team. But with that being said, I will put in my top four Eric Singleton from Redeem Team, Jacob Morales from Would Have Been, Tysheem McCree from Get Money, and then I wanted to add a big guy. I know he hasn't been able to play the last couple of weeks, but I will put Eric Langston in that top four just because of his size, and he's a huge guy and he's still able to dribble and
Mm-hmm.
pass and shoot and finish like a guard, and he is, so that's why he's in my top four. But I mean, Tysheem, Jacob, and Eric Singleton, they all speak for themselves. I mean, they're incredible shooters, finishers. They're probably all the top players on each of their own teams. So I mean, they're the reason that their teams are doing so good. So that's why I'm going to put them in my top four.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, I like that four. I'm see. I always do this. Used to do this with Connor all the time. I always try to do different people just to give people their flowers and everything.
Yeah.
So I got some different guys. I'll start with the one I have. I got Eric Singleton in there from Redeem. Love Eric. He's one of the best players we've had in this league for a long time. I've always said. Now I don't think as much, but in the past he's been one of the most underrated players in this league.
Mhm.
Eric started on, I think, Blood, Sweat, and Beers, and he was just like their best player and no one
Yeah.
else. And now, well, he had Cody, but like they were, and now he's playing on a team with just these stars, and I think he's finally getting his flowers. So Eric Singleton for sure. I got Miles Raymond from Redeem Team. I think he's someone that's people like. I mean, he's averaging 21 a game. He's taking 33 threes, and if you did the math in this league, most people that take 33 threes, if you look at it, are hover around 30 to maybe 39% from three. He's shooting 54% from three. He's 18 to
Especially after
33.
last night.
Yeah, especially after last night. Then he gets 5 boards a game. And
Yep.
I just think this season, what he's doing for the Redeem Team, if he can stay playing at this level, that'll help them go a really long way. Then I got David Armstrong from Yaga. I would obviously go Eric. Shout out Eric, he's the GOAT. But I'm gonna go with David Armstrong. They're both the big guys on that team, and I mean, Scave has missed one shot all year.
Mhm.
And he's just, it's like you said for Eric, same thing, very different play style.
Yeah.
But end of the day, when they're both in the paint, I don't know if there's anyone in this league that can really stop either one of them.
I agree
So
here.
yeah, I'm gonna go with them. And then I got you know, I think I'm gonna have to go with Devon Pratt from Yaga. I think that, he is really playing really well for Yaga right now. He's shooting lights out. Again, another one of those guys where you look, he's taking 33 threes. He's shooting 51% from three.
Mhm.
Only averages 15 a game, but what Pratt does, I think, is he kind of brings the vibes for that team. If you notice
Oh
when
yeah.
they're out there, he's screaming, he's yelling.
Yep.
And I think he really brings something to that table, brings something to the table that a lot of players in this league don't. So I'm going to 100% do that. And yeah, that's going to be my team. I got Miles, I got David Armstrong, I got Eric Singleton, and I got Devon Pratt. I'll give some honorable mentions. We got Jacob Morales. Shout
Yeah.
out. You put him on your team. I'll give him an honorable mention. There's so many. I mean, Reggie Stewart, another one. There's so many guys in this league that have been playing just phenomenal basketball. So it's really hard to say. So I'm going to
Yes.
do an extra for the people watching. I'm going to do Greg Horne's all underrated team, starting with Dante Abate from Redeem Team. He does the dirty work for that team. Sometimes it's not going to show up on the stat sheets, but he leads the league in blocks, and he just kind of does everything that you really need. He averages 4 defensive rebounds a game, 3 assists, almost 2 steals. He just does the little things, and I think that's why he doesn't get talked about as much. Another one, Jay Velez from Would Have Been, banging threes last night. Just these guys are just underrated players. Jay can hit threes, he can rebound, he's a big body for them. And then I'm going to say the same for Terrell Lewis from Get Money. And the guy we were talking about earlier, Rico Santiago from the Basketballers. I think those two guys are starting to come into their own in this league. I see Terrell Lewis. I remember him first week, and I thought he kind of had something going. And I think he's been playing well for Get Money. And same for Rico. I think Rico's really starting to figure it out in this league. So that's my
Yeah.
all underrated team. We're gonna go from there. Brendan, you have anyone you want to mention as an underrated player?
I know he hasn't been able to play much either. He got hurt
Mm-hmm.
last week actually, but one of the guys that I like is Jaden Battle from
Ooh,
um
yep.
the basketball. Wait, he's
That's a good
on.
one.
I thought he was on
No,
skis.
no, Jaden Battles on the Basketballers, yeah.
I think I'm thinking of someone else.
Oh, Sevi Velasquez?
Yes, yes, thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, he's a
yeah,
good one.
he's a really good player. He's another one of those guys. He just shoots lights out, but he can also finish over anybody. And he's one of those guys that he's scary going into the lane. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah,
him for
no.
me, he's one of
Yeah.
my most underrated players. No one really talks about him. I feel like.
Yeah, no. See, like that, I 100% agree because you do these all legacy teams, and a lot, like you said, a lot of them are they're gonna like overlap because usually we'll choose a lot of the same players. But someone like
Yeah,
Sevi, like it doesn't really get talked about as much, but he's having a great year. I mean, like I
yeah,
said, like he's shooting 35% from three, and he's not really even that's not his game. So
right.
that's a really, really good pick from Sevi.
Yeah, and it's obviously he's not getting talked about as much because they're not winning, but
Yeah.
he's part of the he's the reason when they are in games that they're in games.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. All right, Brendan, one last question for you. Me and you will do this, and then we'll let the people and us get out of here. But outside of Yaga, Yaga's the clear favorite right now. They've really separated themselves. Um, outside of Yaga, and yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just say that. Outside of Yaga, who do you think has the best chance to win 2 playoff games this year? Or I guess the easier way to put it is, what team do you think could really challenge Yaga for that championship game?
Well, I'm not gonna change my answer from Get
Mm-hmm.
Money just because of how well they're playing as a
I
team
like
together.
that.
But after last night, I'm gonna put Redeem Team in there with them
Mm,
just because of how well they played without Cody, without Eric having to go off like he normally
hmm.
does. Reggie and what was
Miles,
who's yes, Miles, sorry.
gotcha.
Miles and Reggie absolutely went off last night.
Yeah.
So I mean those two guys showed to me why they can go far with if Eric and they get the secret weapon back this
Yep.
season. I think they could really do some damage in the playoffs.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm gonna do Redeem Team as well. Love Get Money. They're great guys. I love them. I had some of them in my underrated team and everything. But Reggie Stewart is kind of one of those Mike Davis type players where if you go to his
Yeah,
profile, he has like just, I mean, him and Mike have been playing this league forever, and it's always been those two going back at it. And if Redeem Team is going to come out and Miles is going to be playing like that, and
yeah.
Reggie's going to be playing like that, and Eric and Eddie's hitting threes, and
It's gonna
Dante,
be hard.
they're a good team. And I know for Redeem, to be fair, their size is going to be an issue. That's why I hope Pooch can go because their
Yeah.
size is going to be the downfall of that team. But I mean, I agree with you. I think right now, if we had to rank them, I think Redeem and Get Money are those 2 teams that are really
Mhm.
fighting, kind of pushing Yaga at the top.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention earlier with the redeem game that I had last night, even with uh Miles's 54 and Reggie's 30, you still had Eddie with a few
Mm-hmm.
threes at 15 points. And so yeah, with that, spot up shooting every once in a while, yeah, they're gonna be hard to beat with everyone playing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree. And shout out Pooch. I hope you come, Pooch. You're the goat. I almost swore. Whatever. You're the fucking goat, Pooch. Um, So, with that, I think we're gonna call it on our week 6 post game show. We got some good games next week. Could be some potential final matchups. We got Yaga Redeem team next week,
Yeah.
so should be a good one. I hope we got teams at full strength. I know last time Yaga played Redeem, they didn't have TJ, didn't have Kyle. So if they can get that, oh, what a shout out to Kyle Davis. He comes to more games, he'll be in that MVP discussion.
Oh yeah,
I feel
100%.
bad for Yaga right now because they've missed a few weeks, so it's hard to say because they have less games than everyone. But
That's the only reason I didn't put Kyle Davis in my
yeah,
top four.
yeah, no, same here, same thinking. So
Yeah.
shout out Kyle Davis, you're a beast, and yeah, for me, for Brendan, for all the Panthers fans out there, shout out Dave Canales, and yeah,
Others.
thank you everyone.